A disabled alien girl with a broken spirit, only the human master saw her inner strength. The morning sun cast long shadows across the bustling marketplace of New Kyoto, a thriving trade hub on the alien world of Proxima 3. Gideon Chen, dressed in his signature brown kimono and black belt, his dark beard neatly trimmed and long black hair tied back in a warrior's knot, made his way through the crowded streets. The sense of alien spices and the cacophony of different languages filled the air as he searched for supplies for his dojo. Another human, playing at being a warrior, sneered a passing drachnid merchant, his scaled face twisted in contempt. "Don't you people ever tire of pretending?" Gideon ignored the comment, used to such derision. His dojo had been operating for 3 years now, teaching human martial arts to anyone willing to learn, regardless of species. While some aliens mocked these ancient Earth combat forms, others recognized their value and sought his instruction. The crowd ahead suddenly parted, angry shouts echoing through the market. Gideon's attention was drawn to a commotion near one of the food stalls. A group of rough-looking aliens had surrounded something, or someone. "Filthy mutant!" one of them spat. "How dare you touch our food with those deformed hands?" Gideon pushed through the gathering crowd, his warrior's instincts alerting him to potential trouble. What he saw made him pause. A female humanoid alien with pale purple skin and long, bright purple hair was surrounded by 3 brutish Korgath thugs. Her black bodysuit was torn and tattered, exposing portions of her lithe frame. But what caught his attention were her arms and legs. They were twisted and malformed, clearly the result of severe mutations. Despite her obvious disabilities, she stood tall, her eyes fierce and defiant. "I offered to pay," she said, her voice steady despite her predicament. "I'm not stealing anything." "Your kind isn't welcome here," the largest Korgath growled, reaching for her. What happened next left Gideon impressed. Despite her physical limitations, the woman moved with surprising grace, dodging the grab and using her attacker's momentum against him. The Korgath stumbled, crashing into his companions. The crowd laughed, which only enraged the thugs more. They advanced on her again, but this time Gideon had seen enough. He stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "That's enough," he said firmly. "The lady has done nothing wrong." "Stay out of this, human," one of the Korgath warned. "This isn't your concern." Gideon smiled, but there was steel in his eyes. "I'm making it my concern. Now you have 2 choices: walk away or demonstrate just how ineffective you think human martial arts are." The threat hung in the air for a moment before the Korgath leader spat on the ground and gestured to his companions. They backed away, muttering curses. Gideon turned to the purple-skinned woman, noting how she watched him with a mixture of gratitude and wariness. Up close, he could see the intelligence in her eyes and the quiet strength in her bearing despite her physical condition. "Thank you," she said softly, "but I could have handled them." "I believe you could have," Gideon replied, surprising her. "I'm Gideon Chen. I run a dojo nearby. And you are?" "Fisa," she answered after a moment's hesitation. "Fisa Kathera." Gideon noticed how thin she was, how her clothes hung loosely on her frame. He made a decision then, one that would change both their lives forever. "Fisa, I have a proposition for you. I need someone to help maintain my dojo. Cleaning, basic maintenance, that sort of thing. Room and board included. Would you be interested?" Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. "Why would you offer that to someone like me?" "Because I recognize strength when I see it," he answered honestly. "And not just physical strength." Fisa studied him for a long moment, her bright eyes searching his face for any sign of deception. Finally, she nodded. "I accept." As they walked to the dojo, Gideon noticed how she moved. Despite her mutations, there was an underlying grace to her movements, a natural flow that spoke of untapped potential. She caught him watching and raised an eyebrow. "Something wrong with how I walk?" she asked, a defensive edge in her voice. "Actually, I was admiring your balance," he replied truthfully. "You compensate for your limitations remarkably well." She blinked, clearly not expecting that response. "Most people just stare at the mutations." "Most people are idiots," Gideon said matter-of-factly, drawing a surprised laugh from her. The dojo came into view, a traditional Earth-style building that stood out among the alien architecture. Several students were already waiting outside, a mix of different species. They watched curiously as Gideon approached with Fisa. "Master Chen," greeted Thax, a hulking Centaurian with 4 arms. "Who's your new friend?" "This is Fisa, our new maintenance staff," Gideon announced. "Treat her with the same respect you'd show me." The students bowed, though Gideon noticed a few uncertain glances at Fisa's mutations. She held her head high, refusing to be intimidated. Over the next few weeks, Fisa proved herself invaluable. She cleaned the dojo with meticulous care, ensuring every corner sparkled. Between classes, Gideon often caught her watching the training sessions with intense focus, her eyes following every movement. One evening after the last student had left, Gideon found her attempting to mirror a basic kata in the empty dojo. Despite her physical limitations, her form was surprisingly good. "Your stance is almost perfect," he said, making her jump, "but your weight distribution needs adjustment." Fisa spun around, flushing a deeper purple. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have." "Why not?" Gideon interrupted. "You've clearly been studying the movements." Yes, she admitted, "but with my condition." "Your condition makes certain movements difficult, not impossible," Gideon corrected. "Would you like to learn?" Her eyes lit up with hope, but uncertainty still lingered. "You'd teach me, even like this?" "Especially like this," Gideon said firmly. "True strength isn't about perfect bodies or flawless technique. It's about adapting, persevering, and finding your own way." That night marked the beginning of their training together. After hours when the dojo was empty, Gideon worked with Fisa, adapting traditional techniques to accommodate her unique physiology. She proved to be an exceptionally quick learner, her determination more than making up for her physical limitations. The early morning sun hadn't yet risen when Fisa began her daily routine at the dojo. Her mutated limbs moved with practiced efficiency as she cleaned the training mats, her movements showing the results of weeks of secret training. The sweet scent of traditional earth incense lingered in the air, mixing with the cleaning solutions she used. Gideon watched her from the doorway, admiring how she'd adapted her limitations into advantages. Even simple cleaning tasks had become exercises in balance and control. She developed her own unique way of moving, turning necessary adjustments into fluid motions that almost resembled a dance. "You're here early," he said, stepping into the room. Fisa looked up, a slight purple flush coloring her cheeks. "Master Chen, I wanted to finish before the morning class. How many times must I ask you to call me Gideon when we're alone?" Her flush deepened. "At least once more." "Gideon." Their eyes met, and the air between them seemed to crackle with unspoken tension. Over the past weeks, their evening training sessions had created a unique intimacy. Gideon found himself increasingly aware of her grace, her determination, and the way her eyes lit up when she mastered a new technique. The moment was broken by the arrival of the first students. Among them was Thax, the 4-armed Centaurian, accompanied by his training partner, a serpentine Naga named Sith. Both were advanced students, and Sith, in particular, had been watching Fisa with suspicious eyes lately. "Master Chen," Thax greeted, then nodded to Fisa. "Morning, cleaning girl." Fisa bowed respectfully and continued her work, but Gideon noticed how Sith's forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. "You've been here all night," the Naga said, his voice a sibilant whisper. "I can taste the lingering scent of your exertion." Gideon kept his face neutral. "Fisa takes her duties seriously." "Too seriously, perhaps," Sith replied. "I've observed her cleaning patterns. They mirror our training forms." More students filed in, and Gideon called the class to order, but he could see the seed of suspicion had been planted. Throughout the morning session, he caught several students watching Fisa as she worked around the edges of the training area. During a water break, Thax approached Gideon. "Master, there are rumors. Some say they've seen lights in the dojo late at night. Movement, training. And if there were," Gideon asked carefully. "It's not my place to question," Thax said, his 4 hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "But others, they believe teaching our arts to someone like her dishonors the dojo." Gideon felt anger rise in his chest but kept his voice level. "And what do you believe, Thax?" Before the Centaurian could answer, Sith's voice cut through the dojo. "She mocks us!" All eyes turned to where the Naga stood, pointing at Fisa. She had been cleaning near a training dummy, and in a moment of distraction, had unconsciously shifted into a perfect defensive stance. "A crippled fraud, pretending at our arts," Sith hissed. The dojo fell silent. Fisa straightened, her face composed despite the insult. Gideon started forward, but her voice stopped him. "I am no fraud," she said clearly. "I study, I train. My body may be broken, but my spirit is not." Sith's laugh was cruel. "Pretty words from a pretty mutant. Prove it then. Face me." "Enough," Gideon commanded, but Physa raised her hand. "No, Master, he's right. I should prove myself." Her eyes met his, filled with determination. "You taught me that respect is earned." Gideon studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Very well, but this will be a controlled match. First to 3 points wins." The students formed a circle as Physa and Sith took their positions. The Naga moved with fluid grace, his species naturally suited to the flowing movements of martial arts. In contrast, Physa's stance looked awkward, her mutations forcing her to adapt the traditional forms. "Begin!" Gideon called. Sith struck first, his movement blindingly fast. But Physa wasn't there. She'd shifted, using her unusual balance to pivot in a way no normal practitioner could. The Naga strike met empty air. "Point, Physa," Gideon announced. Sith's eyes narrowed. He attacked again, this time with a complex combination of strikes. Physa defended, her modified techniques turning her limitations into advantages. Where others would block, she flowed around attacks. Where others would strike directly, she used indirect angles her mutations made possible. "You're just running away," Sith taunted. "Fight me!" "As you wish," Physa replied. She moved forward, her awkward gait suddenly transforming into a fluid advance. Sith struck at her seemingly exposed side, but her mutated arm moved in an impossible angle, deflecting his attack while simultaneously striking his chest. "Point, Physa!" The Naga's face contorted with rage. His next attack was vicious, abandoning technique for pure aggression. But Physa remained calm, using his momentum against him. In a move that drew gasps from the watching students, she turned her twisted leg into a hook, catching Sith's ankle and sending him sprawling. "Match! Physa!" The dojo erupted in excited chatter. Thax stepped forward, all 4 arms clapping. "Incredible! How did you develop such unique techniques?" Physa bowed to her defeated opponent, then to the class. "Master Chen taught me that true strength comes from adapting, from turning weakness into strength. He showed me how to modify the forms to work with my body, not against it." "And she has proven to be an exceptional student," Gideon added, pride evident in his voice. "One who embodies the true spirit of our art." Sith rose slowly, his expression unreadable. Then, to everyone's surprise, he bowed deeply to Physa. "I was wrong. You honor our dojo with your dedication." The tension in the room dissolved into excitement as students gathered around Physa, asking questions about her techniques. Gideon watched with satisfaction as his other students began to see what he had recognized from the start, her incredible spirit. Later that evening, after the dojo had emptied, Physa found Gideon in his office. "Thank you," she said softly, "for believing in me." "I never doubted you," he replied, standing to face her. "You've always had this strength inside you. You just needed someone to see it." She moved closer, her unique grace more evident than ever. "You saw me when everyone else looked away. You gave me purpose when I had none." The air between them grew charged with unspoken feelings. Gideon could see the emotion in her eyes, the way she unconsciously leaned toward him. His hand rose to brush a strand of purple hair from her face, and she caught her breath at the gentle touch. "Physa," he began, his voice husky. "Yes," she whispered, her face tilted up toward his. The moment stretched between them, full of possibility and unspoken desire. But before either could move, a crash from the training room shattered the moment. Gideon and Physa rushed toward the source of the crash, their intimate moment temporarily forgotten. The training room was dark except for an eerie blue glow emanating from what appeared to be a damaged hover bike protruding through the dojo side window. "By the stars," Physa breathed, her purple skin reflecting the ethereal light. A figure groaned, extracting itself from the wreckage. The being was humanoid, but clearly mechanical in nature, with chrome-plated limbs and exposed circuitry that sparked occasionally. Gideon recognized him immediately. "Rax!" Gideon called out, moving forward to help. "What the hell are you doing crash-landing into my dojo?" The cyborg mechanic steadied himself, his optical sensors focusing on Gideon. "Chen, just the human I was looking for, though I'd planned a more conventional entrance." "You know him?" Physa asked, unconsciously moving closer to Gideon. Remember when I mentioned saving someone's life? Gideon replied, a slight smile playing beneath his beard. Meet Rax, the best cybernetics specialist in 3 systems, and the worst pilot in all of them. Your lack of faith wounds me, Rax chuckled, then stopped abruptly as his sensors locked onto Feza. His mechanical eyes whirred, analyzing her mutations. Fascinating. Neural muscular adaptations, completely natural evolution, but limiting your potential? Feza instinctively crossed her arms, trying to hide her deformities. Gideon stepped slightly in front of her, protective. Rax, you're making my student uncomfortable. Student? Rax's eyebrows, the few organic parts he had left, shot up. Well, you've been busy, Chen, and here I thought you'd forgotten about that favor I owe you. I never intended to collect, Gideon said firmly. But perhaps you should, Rax countered, his mechanical eyes still studying Feza. I couldn't help but notice your unique movement patterns through the window before my unscheduled landing. You've adapted remarkably well to your condition, but I could offer you something more. Feza's breath caught. What do you mean? Full cybernetic enhancement, state-of-the-art prosthetics for all 4 limbs. They'd interface directly with your nervous system, giving you strength and mobility beyond what any natural body could achieve. Gideon felt Feza tense beside him. Her hand found his in the darkness, squeezing it tightly. The touch sent electricity through his body, making him acutely aware of her presence. The procedure, Rax continued, would be extremely risky, but given what I have observed of your spirit, he gestured to the training room around them. I believe you'd not only survive, but thrive. And the cost? Feza asked, her voice steady despite the trembling Gideon could feel through their joined hands. Considerate payment for Chen saving my worthless hide during the Rigelian uprising. Rax's mechanical face attempted a smile. Though I'd appreciate help cleaning up this mess. As they worked to clear the debris, Gideon couldn't help but notice how Feza's movements seemed more determined, more focused. She was considering the offer, he realized. The thought filled him with both hope and fear. Later, after Rax had moved his hoverbike to a nearby repair shop, Gideon found Feza in the dojo's garden. She sat beneath the artificial moonlight, her purple hair shimmering like stellar dust. You're worried about me, she said without turning. Gideon settled beside her, close enough to feel her warmth. I worry about everything concerning you. She turned to face him, her eyes searching his face. Why? The question hung between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. Gideon reached out, his fingers tracing the air near her cheek, not quite touching. Because you have become more than just my student, he admitted softly, more than I ever expected. Feza leaned into his touch, her skin warm against his fingers. And what did you expect, Gideon? The way she said his name sent shivers down his spine. I expected to help someone in need. I didn't expect to find someone who would change my entire world. Even with these? She held up her mutated arms. Especially with those, he said firmly. They're part of who you are, part of the strength that drew me to you. But they could be better, she whispered. I could be better. For the dojo. For you. Gideon turned her face toward his. You don't need to change for me, but if this is what you want, I'll support you. Just know that my feelings won't change either way. Feelings? Her voice was barely audible, her face inches from his. Deep one, he murmured. Complicated ones. Probably inappropriate for a master to have about his student. I'm not just your student anymore, she reminded him, her hand finding his chest. And my feelings are far from proper as well. The tension between them was electric, years of martial discipline warring with raw desire. Gideon could feel her breath on his lips, see the want in her eyes that surely mirrored his own. If we do this, he said hoarsely, everything changes. Everything already has, she replied, closing the distance between them. Their first kiss was gentle, tentative, like 2 martial artists testing each other's defenses. Then something broke loose and suddenly they were crashing together with the force of colliding stars. Her mutations made the embrace unique, different angles and pressures that somehow felt perfectly right. When they finally parted, both breathing heavily, Feza rested her forehead against his. I want the surgery, she said softly, not to be different, but to be more of who I am, to be stronger for both of us. Gideon held her close, breathing in her alien scent. Then we'll face it together. Whatever comes next. Whatever comes next, she agreed, sealing the promise with another kiss. The week before the surgery transformed the dojo into a whirlwind of preparation. Rax converted the meditation room into a makeshift medical bay, filling it with sophisticated cybernetic equipment that hummed with potential. The sight of the surgical tools and mechanical limbs made Gideon's stomach tighten, but Fiza approached them with fascination. "These will really be mine?" she asked, running her mutated fingers over a sleek, cybernetic arm. The prosthetic was a masterpiece of engineering, its purple-tinted metal matching her skin tone perfectly. "Custom designed," Rax confirmed, adjusting holographic displays. "I've been studying your movement patterns. These aren't just replacements. They're enhancements built around your unique fighting style." Gideon watched from the doorway, his heart swelling with pride at Fisa's courage. She caught his eye and smiled, the kind of smile that made his pulse quicken and his discipline waver. "Show me how they work," she demanded, her enthusiasm infectious. Rax launched into a technical explanation, but Gideon found himself distracted by Fisa's expressions. The way her eyes lit up at each new detail, how she unconsciously shifted closer to him whenever Rax mentioned a particularly risky aspect of the procedure. That evening, after Rax had retired to make final adjustments, Gideon found Fisa in their usual training spot. She moved through her forms with exceptional grace, her mutations no longer seeming like limitations, but rather unique expressions of her warrior spirit. "Having second thoughts?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. She completed her kata before turning to him. "Not about the surgery." Her eyes met his, filled with meaning. "Other things keep me awake at night." The air between them crackled with tension. Since their first kiss in the garden, they'd maintained a professional distance during dojo hours, but their private moments had grown increasingly charged. "Such as," Gideon stepped closer, drawn by her gravitational pull, "such as how different it will feel when I touch you with these new hands." She demonstrated by trailing her fingers along his arm, the unusual angles of her mutations, creating uniquely pleasant sensations. "Will I still be able to make you shiver like this?" "You could touch me with wooden sticks and still drive me crazy," he admitted, his voice rough. She laughed, the sound both delighted and seductive. "Careful, Master Chen. That sounds dangerously close to a challenge." Before he could respond, she executed a perfect sweep, taking his legs out from under him. He rolled with the fall, but she followed, straddling him with practiced ease. "See?" She grinned down at him, purple hair falling around them like a curtain. "These broken parts still have their uses." Gideon reached up, tucking her hair behind her ear. "Nothing about you is broken, Fisa. Different, yes, unique, absolutely, but never broken." Her playful expression softened. "You really believe that, don't you?" "I believe in you. Everything else is just details." She leaned down, her lips brushing his ear. "Then believe in this too. And when I wake up from that surgery, these new parts won't change who I am, who we are." The promise in her voice sent heat through his body. "I know." Their training session evolved into something else entirely, a dance of controlled passion and tested restraint. Every touch, every hold, every pin carried double meaning, their martial arts becoming a language of desire. The next morning, Rax found them reviewing surgical procedures in the dojo's library. Well, he chuckled, his mechanical eyes whirring. "I hope you two got some sleep. Today's going to be intense." Fisa straightened, all business despite the flush in her cheeks. "Walk me through it one more time." "All 4 limbs simultaneously," Rax began, projecting a holographic diagram. "We'll start with neural mapping, creating pathways for the cybernetic interfaces. Then, removal of the existing limbs. Quick, clean, painless under full anesthesia. The prosthetics are already calibrated to your nervous system's unique signature." "And the risks?" Gideon asked, his hand finding faces under the table. "Multiple," Rax admitted. "Neural rejection, cybernetic shock, standard stuff for quad replacement. But I've added some special features that should help." He grinned. "Let's just say these aren't your standard prosthetics. They're more like artwork with weapons capabilities." Fisa's eyes widened. "Weapons? Retractable blades, enhanced strength, specialized combat protocols, all designed to complement your martial arts training." Rax's expression turned serious. "But they'll require incredible mental discipline to master. Good thing you have an excellent teacher." Gideon squeezed her hand. "You'll master them faster than anyone expects. You always do." The day passed in a blur of final preparations. Students came and went, many offering encouragement to Fiza. Even Sith brought a traditional Naga blessing charm, which now hung above the surgical bed. As evening approached, Rax began the final sterilization procedures. Gideon found Fissa in their garden, watching the artificial sunset. "It's time," he said softly. She turned to him, and suddenly she was in his arms, her unique embrace fitting against him perfectly. "I'm not afraid of the surgery," she whispered against his chest. "I'm afraid of losing this. How perfectly imperfect we are together." Gideon tilted her face up to his. "Listen to me. Tomorrow you'll wake up stronger, faster, more capable than ever. But the woman I fell in love with, she's not in your limbs. She's right here." He touched her chest, feeling her heart race beneath his fingers. "Love," she breathed, her eyes wide. "Love," he confirmed, kissing her with all the passion he'd been holding back. When they parted, both breathing heavily, he pressed his forehead to hers. "Now go show the universe what I've known since the day I met you, that your spirit is stronger than any steel." Fisa's smile could have powered the entire city. "Wait for me?" "Always." They walked hand in hand to the medical bay, where Rax waited with his team of medical droids. As Fisa settled onto the surgical bed, she gave Gideon one last heated look. "When I wake up," she promised, "we're going to need a lot of private training sessions to calibrate these new limbs." Gideon laughed even as his heart thundered with anticipation and concern. "One step at a time, warrior." "Sweet dreams, Loveburst," Rax said, administering the anesthetic. "Next time you see each other, we'll be making history." The surgery lasted 18 hours. Gideon paced the dojo's halls like a caged predator, his normally disciplined mind racing with concern. Rax's occasional updates through the medical bay's comm system were his only lifeline. "Neural integration proceeding perfectly," the cyborg would announce. "Her body's accepting the prosthetics better than expected. She's got a warrior's constitution, this one." Dawn was breaking when Rax finally emerged, his mechanical features showing signs of exhaustion despite their artificial nature. "She's stable. The integration was successful, but..." Gideon's heart clenched. "There's been an unexpected reaction. Her body's natural mutation seems to be interacting with the cybernetics in ways I didn't anticipate." "Nothing dangerous," Rax added quickly, seeing Gideon's expression. "Actually, it's fascinating. The prosthetics are evolving." Gideon pushed past him into the medical bay. Fisa lay on the surgical bed, her new limbs gleaming in the soft light. The purple-tinted metal seemed to pulse with an inner light, matching her natural skin tone perfectly. But what caught his breath wasn't the technical marvel, it was her face. Even unconscious, she looked peaceful, strong. "No, when will she wake up?" "Soon," Rax said, "but be prepared. The first few moments of consciousness can be intense." As if on cue, Fisa's eyes fluttered open. She gasped, her new limbs instinctively moving to defend against invisible threats. The cybernetic arms whirred with deadly precision, blades extending and retracting as combat protocols activated. "Fisa!" Gideon called out, moving to her side despite Rax's warning gesture. "I'm here." Her eyes focused on him, recognition flooding back. The defensive posture melted away, replaced by wonder as she examined her new limbs. "Gideon? Did it? Am I? You're perfect," he breathed. She tried to sit up, but her movements were jerky, uncoordinated. Frustration flashed across her face. "I can't control them properly." "That's normal," Rax assured her. "Your brain is still learning to interpret the new neural pathways. It'll take time to..." Fisa wasn't listening. Her focus was entirely on Gideon as she reached for him with her new hand. The movement was clumsy, but when their fingers intertwined, both gasped. The sensory feedback from the cybernetics was incredible, every touch carrying enhanced sensation. "I can feel you," she whispered. "Everything. Your pulse, your temperature, even the tiny calluses from sword practice." Their eyes met and the air crackled with electricity. Rax cleared his throat. "Right. Well, I'll just go check on something somewhere else. Remember, no strenuous activity for at least 24 hours. Neither acknowledged his departure. Fisa was too busy exploring her new capabilities, each movement becoming more refined as her natural talent for adaptation took over. "Help me stand." Gideon supported her as she rose, her new legs initially unsteady, but quickly finding their balance. She took a tentative step, then another, her movements becoming more fluid with each passing moment. The neural integration is happening faster than it should, she said, wonder in her voice. I can feel the protocols integrating with my muscle memory, my training. Your mutations, Gideon explained. Rax said they're somehow enhancing the integration process. She turned to face him, and suddenly she was in his arms, her new limbs wrapping around him with perfect control. The sensation was extraordinary. Cool metal warming to match his body temperature, pressure sensors ensuring her enhanced strength didn't hurt him. "Kiss me," she demanded. He didn't hesitate. Their lips met, and the world exploded with sensation. Fisa gasped into his mouth as her new neural networks transmitted every touch with crystal clarity. Her fingers tangled in his hair, the cybernetic digits perfectly gentle despite their strength. "I need," she started, then swayed slightly. Gideon caught her. What you need is rest. Doctor's orders." She pouted but allowed him to help her back to the bed. "Stay with me?" "Always." The next few days were a blur of recovery and discovery. Fisa's progress was nothing short of miraculous. By the third day, she was moving with more grace than ever before, her new limbs becoming true extensions of her warrior spirit. The students watched in awe as she demonstrated forms that should have taken months to master with cybernetic enhancements. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. On the fifth night, Gideon found her in the training room, her new limbs trembling as combat protocols misfired. "The calibration's off," she growled in frustration. "Everything feels wrong." "Then let's make it right," he said, moving behind her. His hands settled on her waist and guiding her through the familiar kata. "Remember what I taught you about finding your center?" She leaned back against him, her cybernetic arms flowing through the movements. "Show me again." Their training session quickly evolved into something more intimate. Each correction became a caress, each stance adjustment an excuse to press closer. The line between martial arts and romance blurred until they were barely moving at all, lost in each other's touch. "Gideon," she breathed, turning in his arms. "I'm tired of waiting. The doctor said 24 hours. It's been 5 days." Her new fingers traced patterns on his chest that made his breath catch. "I need to know if we still fit together." Their first time was a revelation. The enhanced sensitivity of her cybernetic limbs combined with their natural chemistry created something transcendent. Every touch was amplified, every sensation heightened. Their martial arts training gave them perfect control and timing, while their emotional connection made it more than just physical pleasure. Afterward, lying tangled together in the soft light of dawn, Fisa traced patterns on his chest with a cybernetic finger. "I was worried," she admitted softly, "about that these changes would make me less me, less the woman you fell in love with." Gideon caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. "You could never be less. Every change, every adaptation, every challenge you overcome just makes you more magnificent." She smiled, her purple skin glowing with happiness. "I love you, my human master, who saw my strength when everyone else saw weakness. I love you, my warrior who proved everyone wrong." Their peaceful moment was interrupted by a crash from the dojo's entrance. Rax's voice carried through the comm system, urgent and worried. "Chen, we've got company. Remember those complications I mentioned? They just showed up with heavy artillery." The sound of heavy weapons charging outside the dojo pulled Gideon and Fisa from their intimate moment. They dressed quickly, years of martial training making their movements efficient despite the urgency. "Those voices," Fisa said, her enhanced auditory sensors picking up the commotion outside. "I recognize them." Gideon saw her cybernetic hands clench into fists, purple-tinted metal gleaming. "The bandits from the marketplace. The same ones who tried to hurt that child last month." Her voice carried an edge of steel. "Looks like they brought friends this time?" The incident she referred to had been her first real test after receiving her cybernetic enhancements. A group of alien thugs had been harassing a young refugee child, and Fisa had intervened. The fight had been brief but intense, ending with several bandits in the hospital and a newfound respect for the disabled girl among the local community. "We've got students in the morning meditation class," Gideon said, checking the security feeds. 12 hostiles outside, heavily armed. Rax's voice crackled over the comm. "They're demanding we hand over the abomination." Their words, not mine. Apparently, they're not too happy about getting their asses handed to them by someone they considered inferior. Faiza's laugh was cold. They thought I was dangerous before? Wait until they see what I can do now. Gideon recognized that tone. It was the same one she had used before nearly killing the bandits last time. He caught her cybernetic arm, the metal warm under his touch. Remember your training, love? Control, not revenge. Her features softened as she looked at him. I remember everything you taught me, including how to protect what matters. Their eyes met, and despite the danger, heat flickered between them. Since their first night together, their connection had only grown stronger, each intimate encounter enhanced by her cybernetic sensitivity and their deep emotional bond. A blast rocked the dojo's outer wall, snapping them back to reality. Thax and Sith are moving the students to the secure meditation chamber, Rax reported. But these guys brought some serious firepower. They're not just street thugs anymore. No, Faiza agreed, combat protocols humming to life in her limbs. They're about to be examples. They moved through the dojo's halls in perfect sync, their months of training together evident in every step. When they reached the main training floor, Gideon took position by the eastern door while Faiza covered the western entrance. The first bandits breached the wall with plasma cutters, expecting easy prey. Instead, they found themselves facing a nightmare of efficiency. Faiza moved like liquid metal, her cybernetic limbs allowing her to execute techniques that would have been impossible for any natural body. Each strike was precisely calculated, disabling without killing. Gideon fought with traditional human martial arts, his movements a perfect complement to Faiza's enhanced abilities. Together, they created a deadly dance that left their attackers bewildered and broken. The girl's a monster, one of the thugs screamed as Faiza's cybernetic arm extended impossibly to catch him mid-leap. No, she corrected, slamming him into the training mat with controlled force. I'm a student of the way, and you're in my dojo. The fight shifted as more attackers poured in. Gideon found himself back-to-back with Faiza, feeling the warm hum of her cybernetic systems against his spine. The contact sent a thrill through him, despite the circumstances. Focus, Master Chen, she teased, deflecting a plasma bolt with her reinforced arm. Or are you distracted by something? Just admiring your form, he replied, sweeping an attacker's legs while simultaneously blocking a strike aimed at Faiza's blind spot. The way you move, it's inspiring. Flirt later, fight now, Rax called over the comm, but there was amusement in his mechanical voice. The battle reached its climax when the bandits' leader, a scarred, drac-eyed Gideon recognized from the marketplace incident, charged in with a military-grade pulse cannon. Die, freak, he roared, taking aim at Faiza. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Faiza's cybernetic systems calculated trajectories and possibilities in microseconds. She could have dodged, could have let the blast destroy the dojo's far wall. Instead, she chose a different path. Her enhanced legs propelled her forward as her arms transformed, panels sliding aside to reveal the defensive capabilities Rax had built in. The pulse blast struck her crossed arms and reflected, catching the Drachnid in his own weapon's backwash. He survived, barely, but the fight was over. His unconscious form joined his companions on the training floor, all of them breathing but thoroughly defeated. In the aftermath, as local security forces arrived to collect the would-be attackers, Gideon found Faiza in their garden. She stood under the artificial moonlight, her cybernetic limbs gleaming softly. You held back, he observed, wrapping his arms around her from behind. You taught me that true strength isn't about destroying opponents. She leaned back against him, her enhanced sensors drinking in every point of contact between them. It's about protecting what matters. And what matters to you? His lips found the sensitive spot behind her ear. She turned in his embrace, cybernetic fingers tracing patterns on his chest that made his breath catch. You, United States. This life we're building, her smile turned playful. Though I wouldn't mind some private training to work off this excess combat energy. Their lips met in a kiss that carried all the adrenaline and passion of battle, but tempered with something deeper. Something that had grown from the moment he'd first seen her strength in that marketplace. I love you, she whispered against his mouth, my human master who saw past my broken shell to the warrior within. I love you, he replied, leading her toward their private quarters. My student who became my greatest teacher. Behind them, Rax's voice echoed from a forgotten comm unit. Remember to reset the security systems before you. Oh, never mind. Just try not to break anything important this time. News of the dojo battle spread through New Kyoto like wildfire. The story of how a once disabled alien woman and her human master had defended their students captured the public's imagination. What might have once been seen as a liability, FISA's unique combination of mutations and cybernetics, became a symbol of triumph over adversity. 1 month after the incident, Gideon found himself overwhelmed by new student applications. The waiting area was packed with aliens of all species, many with various disabilities or limitations of their own. "They come because of you," he told FISA as they watched from their private quarters above the dojo. "You've shown them what's possible." She leaned against him, her cybernetic body perfectly calibrated to fit against his. "They come because of us? Because you saw strength where others saw weakness." Their relationship had deepened in ways neither had expected. The intimate moments they shared were enhanced by her cybernetic sensitivity, every touch carrying extra meaning through her advanced neural networks. Yet it was their emotional connection that truly set their passion ablaze. "Speaking of strength," FISA said, taking his hand and placing it on her abdomen. "I need to tell you something." Gideon felt his heart skip. "Are you?" Rax confirmed it this morning. "My cybernetics detected the changes before I did." Her purple skin flushed deeper as she smiled. "We're going to have a baby." The joy that flooded through him was overwhelming. He pulled her into a kiss that spoke volumes about his feelings, their bodies melding together with practiced ease. "I never thought it would be possible," she whispered against his lips. "A human and a mutated alien? Nothing's impossible for you," he replied, his hands tracing the seams where organic flesh met cybernetic enhancement. "You've proven that time and again." Their celebration was interrupted by a knock at the door. Thax entered, all 4 arms laden with scrolls. "Master Chen, the Planetary Martial Arts Council is here. They want to officially recognize our dojo as a premier training center for adaptive combat techniques." The recognition brought new responsibilities and opportunities. Over the next few months, as FISA's pregnancy progressed, the dojo evolved. They developed specialized programs for students with various physical challenges, teaching them to turn their unique conditions into advantages. FISA continued to train and teach throughout her pregnancy, her cybernetic systems automatically adjusting to accommodate her changing body. The sight of her leading classes, her purple skin glowing with health, and her mechanical limbs moving with fluid grace, drew admirers from across the galaxy. Their nights were filled with passion and planning. Gideon found himself constantly amazed by how her cybernetic enhancements adapted to her pregnancy, increasing sensitivity in some areas, while providing extra support in others. Their intimate moments became a dance of flesh and metal, organic and synthetic, all guided by their deep love for each other. "I never thought I'd have this," FISA admitted one night, curled against him in their garden. "A purpose, a family, a future." "You always had the potential," Gideon replied, his hand resting on her growing belly. "You just needed someone to believe in you." The birth itself was a testament to their unique partnership. Rax had modified FISA's cybernetics to assist with the delivery, while Gideon's steady presence gave her the strength to bring their son into the world. They named him Kirain, a name that combined human and alien syllables, just as he combined both their heritages. His skin was a lighter shade of purple than his mother's, and his dark hair matched his father's. But it was his spirit that truly showed their influence. 5 years later. The dojo's morning sun illuminated an unusual scene. Her 5-year-old Kirain stood in the center of the training floor, his small form moving through basic katas with surprising precision. His mother's cybernetic hands gently corrected his stance, while his father demonstrated the next movement. "Like this, little warrior," FISA said, her purple-tinted prosthetics gleaming as she moved through the form. "Watch your center," Gideon added, his dark beard now streaked with distinguished silver. "Remember what we taught you about balance." Kirain's face scrunched in concentration as he mimicked their movements. Around them, the dojo had grown into a sprawling complex. New buildings housed specialized training areas and rehabilitation facilities, while the original structure remained sacred to their core students. Rax, who had become a permanent fixture in their lives, watched from his customary corner. "The kids got both your talents," he observed, "and none of your limitations." "Our limitations made us stronger," FISA replied, sharing a meaningful look with Gideon. "They brought us together." Later that evening, after Kirain was asleep, Gideon and Fiza stood in their garden. Her cybernetic arms wrapped around him from behind, their temperature perfectly matched to his body heat. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked softly. "Taking in a broken alien girl all those years ago?" Gideon turned to face her, his hands finding the familiar curves of her mechanical frame. "You were never broken, my love. You were always exactly who you needed to be. The strongest person I've ever known." Their lips met in a kiss that carried all the passion of their first encounter, enhanced by years of shared experience and deep love. Her cybernetic sensors transmitted every sensation with crystal clarity, while his human touch grounded her in the reality of their connection. "Besides," he added with a playful smile, "who else could keep up with my training methods?" She laughed, the sound as bright and clear as the day he'd first heard it. "Race you to the bedroom? These upgrades Rax installed last week need testing." "Always the dedicated student," he teased, already moving. Their love had transformed them both, the human master who saw beyond physical limitations, and the alien woman whose broken spirit had become an unstoppable force. Together they had built more than just a dojo. They had created a legacy of strength, hope, and the power of seeing the warrior spirit in unexpected places. In the quiet of their room, as passion and tenderness mingled with the soft hum of cybernetics, they celebrated their journey from master and student to partners in every sense. Their story had become legend in New Kyoto, but for them it was simply love, transcending barriers of species, physical limitation, and even machinery to create something uniquely beautiful. And in his bed down the hall, young Kirain dreamed of following in his parents' footsteps, carrying forward their legacy of seeing strength where others saw only weakness.